to Leo. I am here joined by my good friend Severin, eternally surprised. Are you ready for the lower bracket finals? Did you expect this matchup?
I'm I'm not sure. I'm really excited though. Like it's probably in some way, besides Doomsday, fastest deck, especially fastest creature deck against the like glacial Jeskai control deck. Which is gonna be super interesting. Like
Yeah,
having 1-for-1 removal and one Supreme Verdict really doesn't line up very well against fast hands from the Jeskai deck, from the Madness deck.
so the one card that I'm really interested in this matchup is Angie's Ravager and Hole Breacher. Because it's
Yeah,
mandatory. It's mandatory, and you can't be doing that with a Hole Breacher on the field that will just gobble up those extra draws, make more tokens, stuff like that. They do trade one for each other. Those powerful 3 drops are where it's going to be the most interesting for me. But
yeah, for sure.
I do
I've
agree. This is
I've
very
had one
fast game.
Yeah, I've had one match where I resolved a Hull Breacher into my opponent's double Angie's Ravager. And yeah, I was so
Oh,
happy just having a blocker that didn't kill the Ravager, just like smashing like putting a Snapcaster in front of the Angie's Ravager, get 6 treasure tokens that turn, then just untap. Next turn, they do the same thing again, discard their hand, give me 6 more treasures, and then cycle Shark Typhoon for infinite and take the game down.
that's brutal. That's absolutely brutal.
But yeah,
Like Hole Breacher. I mean, to be fair, that's the reason why I was banned in Commander because people get like feel badsies and like whatever in Legacy. This is like you should be in player removal. LOL. Um, but like Hole Breacher, when it gets you, it just leaves that like really sour taste in your mouth. Not as much as like as bad as like when you go to fetch and you get stifled and that's your only land in hand. That's like also the worst feeling. But like still, Hole Breacher does have some bad feels.
yeah, but I think like for Legacy, it's still in some way fair power level
Oh,
compared
100%. It's
compared to Hullbreacher in Commander.
it's
The decks are
boltable, it's
like,
pyroblastable, it's everything. Commander players just whine too much.
yeah, I mean, it's also like when I remember when during spoiler season 3 years ago when Hullbreacher and Opposition Agent were spoiled, it was just like, oh, come on, these 2 cards are gonna break Legacy. And the Opposition Agent sometimes comes up. I've seen Doomsday decks now played in the sideboard, so you can ritual it out against other combo decks. Um, and some mono black decks play it, but apart from that, it's not really seeing a lot of play. And Hull Breach is also basically just for combo decks. Like even decks like Delver and most of the control decks have kind of discarded it as an anti-combo card because now it usually just is better in that spot. You don't get your opponent, but it replaces itself, and you keep on finding solutions for your opponent's threats.
Mm-hmm. So Malfi's on the play here, and I believe this is exactly where you want to be if you're Malfi. You're on the play, game one. You're keeping on 6, I do believe, 6 or 7.
Malfi keeps 7, Tensei is
Okay,
keeping
seven.
6. So
Okay,
yeah,
you're
perfect
keeping
start for Malfi.
7. This is where you want to be. This is where you're literally Sanic and you're trying to go as fast as possible. Got to go fast.
Yeah, Press, you put it in the chat here. I want to smell the rubber, the burnt rubber. Gotta go fast from Malfi. I think that's exactly where you want to be.
And both of these players, like we made sure to state this because the MTGPL it is a massive community. There are lots of players, and yet these 2 players always find themselves in the finals or near the finals of our invitational. They are top players. They're constantly grinding. They're constantly innovating on their deck choices for invitationals. And we do see, and we each one of them have invitationals underneath their belts. I think Tensai still has 3. I think Malfi has 1, maybe 2. So because of that, it's okay. This is where we want to see. We got to turn 1 Walla.
But the other card is Firestorm. So I mean, Firestorm is kind of a dead card for most of the time,
Eh,
but still a bit of a slow start from Malfi. Also, he's on 3 copies of Anger, so that's another good one to discard. But
Anger is probably one of my favorite tech in the Madvine decks.
yeah, let's just be okay, all in. Let's battle card out of the deck. Discard my hand to LED and crash in for 10 on turn 1.
100% every single time. Um, also giving Oxyvagonus haste is probably one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, we have oh no. We the LED resolved. So now we're seeing gamble. So with this, I'm 100% grabbing Andy's Ravager, right?
Yeah, for sure. I guess that's one card you really want to have.
Or if you have Angie's Ravager in hand already, I'm 100% grabbing Anger.
Or just the second one, the second Ravager.
Well, let's see. Ravager is 2. Oh, yeah, 2 on the cast. 2 on
Or
the cast.
or even Vengevine. Like depending on your hand, you might just be in for a Vengevine turn because you couldn't do that on turn 1 with Faceless Looting.
Ho, 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 ho,
Oh,
ho.
perfect discard for the gamble
Oh, this
attacking the
is
LED.
Oh, double Angie's Ravager. Oh, where's your Force of Will, Tensai? Where is it?
This game's going out of control really, really fast. I mean,
Yeah, we
like
don't have a
realistically,
Vengevine.
yeah, but still, realistically, what options does Tensai have? Like double swords, and then even if he has double swords, Murphy's just gonna draw 3 cards,
Draw
discard them,
6.
draw another 3. You're not drawing 6. You're
Yeah,
just drawing
exactly.
discarding 3. But every root dweller is another 3/1. So
But that's the thing. It essentially in this deck it is drawing 6. It's drawing 6 cards because there's, as we can see here, there's a Vengevine in the yard now. There's a demon in the yard, which whatever, or the Archfiend. We didn't care about that one. But when it comes to the that Vengevine's huge. Huge. It means that most likely coming into the next round, it's going to be 3, 6, I would say 10, 11 a power coming across the board.
yeah, I mean, and also I think it's somewhat likely for Malfi to even trigger Vengevine. I still think the
Oh,
Archfiend
it's
would have been
definitely
a
possible.
great card with just smashing for 9 with or for 8 with haste.
See, well, that's the thing. The Archfiend had 2 in a black and pay 8 life.
Yeah, I know, like for the turn after, probably.
Yeah, Dennis. So Madness is a pretty great archetype in Legacy. It is super powerful. There's a lot of really good enablers in the format since LED is like one of the most powerful cards in the format. And also like it can just beat up dirtily blue decks, like absolutely beat them up. And like we're seeing this exact situation here. Now Tensai is forced to act. Yeah. Oh yeah, even without Bazaar. So the Bazaar in this deck is the Angie's Ravager. It's just a Bazaar that requires you to discard it first.
Yeah, and every turn, and you end up with cards in hand afterwards.
Yeah.
So I wonder what
Oh, okay. Okay, we got
dress
to dress down. So that's going to stop the Angie's Ravengers triggers, but Angie's Ravengers at least still have uh haste or what's it called? Ooh,
oh,
okay.
it
So we
cracks
got
the.
Vengevine.
Oh, that's also big. Cracking the LED basically to pump the root dweller and have 2 Vengevines in the yard.
Yeah.
They're not hasty, but like,
Yeah.
what does Tensei do in turn 3? Like, his best spot would be like 2 removal spells on the Vengevines, and he's still close to taking
Oh,
lethal.
it's so big. We hit the second Ruwala.
Yeah.
And no, dress down, yeah, it stops the haste from the Ruwala and the Vengevine, but that's still 3, 6. Putrid Imp is threshold. Yeah, so that's 12. That's 12. That's game over. And he had to
Yeah.
fetch in order to do it. Yep. Yeah, Malfi went fast, like really fast. This is what you can do in Legacy without Bazaar Baghdad. It's so fast. It's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was an anger in the grave. Because the fact that anger gives haste to them, and Dress Down says it loses all abilities, is it eliminates it. Yeah. All right, so coming into sideboards here, Severin, let's go over 10 Malfi's, because we got it here. We got
yeah.
Malfi's sideboard of 3 Deafening Silence, Alpine Mood, 2 Pyroblast, 2 Ancient Grudge, 2 Fairy Macabre, 2 Fury, Flaring Pain, Coffin Purge, and Ray of Revelation. What are you liking here?
To be honest, I'm not sure if we really need to change much. I mean, you're basically your plan is just go fast, and
I like
only
the
like
1-for-1 swap of Pyroblast for the Firestorms in the main.
yeah, that's like the only thing I can see. I don't think deafening silence is where you need to be. Um, your plan is basically to have the game be over before Tensei gets to Supreme Verdict mana.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And Dennis, to answer your question, I do believe if the anger was to hit the yard post dress down, they would have haste. But I'm just gonna raise my hand towards our in-house judge, also stream tech, Mr. Jack Dax, to answer that. But yeah, like I agree. There's not really much here, and you just want to kill Tensai. Speaking of which, what do you like from Tensai's board? We
I find
got
I find it kind of rough to see what Tensei can do. Like technically, Teferi stops Malfi from casting Madness cards, but also it's free mana, so you need to be really fast. Tensei is not on any like a lot of the Jeskai lists have something like Kozilek's Return, or at least some kind of sweeper, like second cheaper sweeper in the sideboard. There's nothing like that. Rest in Peace seems on the play might be okay against Vengevines. On the draw, I'm not sure. And also it's only Vengevines. So a lot of
yeah,
the deck is not stopped by it.
I agree with you there. So we got 2 Blue Elemental Blast, 2 Meltdown, 3 Pyro, 2 Surgical, 1 Null Rod, 1 Rest in Peace, 1 Torpor, 2 Blood Moons, and 1 Quarter Grace. I'm
Yeah,
liking the Blue Elemental just because of the fact that like most of the deck's red.
yeah. That's like the only card I can see coming in. And what to take out, I mean, Jace is probably never gonna be relevant. If Jace becomes relevant, you're already winning anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I also agree in that like being able to stop the card draw is nice. I don't think we need to be messing around with Days Undoing here. I think they'll kill before Days Undoing becomes a card in this matchup.
Maybe like if you slow down the game enough, in some ways, Days Undoing is removing Vengevines
Yeah, you're not
from the
wrong.
graveyard, but
But then at that point, would you rather just bring Rest in Peace?
yeah, and your opponent is on 7 cards in hand as well afterwards. If you just use
Yeah,
it for the to clear the graveyard.
I think Days Undoing is an easy cut. Yeah, you can just drop a Jace the Mind Sculptor. Teferi is going to be by far the most interesting and best cards in this because, like you said, it shuts down madness.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Malfi's going down to 6 cards while Tensei is keeping 7.
Tensai nervously playing with a coffee mate. I, to be fair, this is everything because both of their tournaments are on this game, and Tensai is a game down. So that
Yeah.
is really big. Tensai has I don't think has Tensai been knocked out of Invitational recently. There was the only
Uh,
time Tensai has been knocked out of the Invitational is when Tensai is lost in the finals. I do believe.
yeah.
I don't think Tensai's ever been knocked out from the early bracket.
Also, like seeing the coffee, Tensei is in Dubai, so it's close to midnight for him. That's getting later and later. And if he advances to the finals, um, it's double elimination, so he has to win twice. So he's playing a slow control deck and having potentially a couple of rounds ahead.
Yeah, it is definitely the Invitational is an endurance game, and we talk about this as every single time when we get close to the end of the Invitational. Black Sky Dogs had a couple of rounds just to chill, just been watching the chat, eating some snacks, hanging out, like just been chilling, watching the opponents battle out to see who gets the honor of facing Black Sky. But when it comes to that, like, do you believe that cooling down and having that time to just chill and stuff like that is a good thing? Or do you believe that coming in hot from these lower brackets where your brain's sharp, you're good, you're on your ball game, you're ready to take it down, which one do you think benefits in the long run coming into the finals?
Mm, I'm not sure. Like maybe what you can do is you can just, I don't know, pull up the decks, and if you have an option to playtest the match, you can just do that a bunch of times. I've done that before.
Goldfishing?
Yeah, just goldfishing, or also just, I don't know, if you have something like cockatrice or something, just put both deck lists in and see how the matchups play out. I mean, Black Sky Dog probably has a lot of experience playing against these type of control decks, so don't think he has to worry about much.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that it's if Malfi makes it into the finals, it's a very tough matchup for Malfi coming into these finals. So it's got to be one of those things where Black Sky's got to be watching this very closely, trying to figure out where exactly is the play going to be and where it's going to end up. And I don't know how I feel with Malfi starting on this gamble. I really hope it's gambling for an LED. That's where I think that Malfi should probably be going for. She's going for as aggressive as possible.
Yeah, I I guess that's usually your gamble target. I mean, if you have no cards in hand, you can always just gamble for a Root Dweller and put that into play.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I've seen that. I've seen that before. Okay, 6. I think it's a reroll. 1. Vengevine. Let's hope that there's not 2 creatures to trigger.
Yeah, I mean, it might as well just be like with Petal. Okay, Malfi passes the turn. Tensei fetches, so maybe an end of turn brainstorm. Maybe Tensei was preparing for like something something worse, maybe having Blue Blast in hand, but I think then he would have just blasted the gamble.
Yeah, I do think that if Tensai is going to be maybe bringing anything like that, like any of the blast effects, that blue blast, I wouldn't mind holding it up for other things. I don't know if I'd blue blast a gamble though.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you blast like this early?
I think holding for Angie's Ravager is probably a trap.
Yeah,
I mean, you have more things that answer Angie's Ravager, but I think it's also like kind of correct because Angie's Ravager is just that good that holding up the blue blast is so important.
yeah. However, Malfi just looks like he's keeping a bit of he kept a bit of a slow hand. In Putrid Imp, of course, that's a thing that Tensei wants to force here, especially with Malfi not having mana up, because if Malfi just gets another creature, then it's Vengevine in play, and he will start smacking you. But again, what we see now is one of the, let's say, traps that the meta stack brings with it. It has a potential to just have these like we had in game one, these absurd starts and just put power into play, draw cards, refill your hand every turn.
Yeah,
Now Malfi's on 3 cards. Not really have he doesn't really have anything going on. And yeah, just starts hard casting Basking Root Dweller.
lols, which that triggers the Vengevine.
And the second one, yeah.
Oh wow. And yeah, we're just pushing swords the Vengevine.
Yeah, seems reasonable.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Maybe yeah, what Tensor might have been doing here is just he's building up for Supreme Verdict, letting all that happen. At the same time, Malfi is somewhat playing around Supreme Verdict, only having 2 Root Dwellers in play.
Yeah, exactly. There is a lot of posturing here that I appreciate because of the fact that if Malfi hits the third land drop, and of course it's going to be something that produces green or red because that's just how this deck works. This means that these things are just Delver secrets. These
Yeah,
sneaky little lizards are just Delvers. They're attacking in for 3 damage each, and that stacks up, and that requires an immediate answer.
yeah, for sure. I mean, still, I think if you're Tensai in that spot, you're okay with taking some amount of damage.
I think you're okay with taking a certain amount of damage for this round.
Yeah, exactly.
After this, then I'm very much on the side of like I think I would much rather have what's call it. I think I would much rather have a little bit more of a buffer to protect yourself.
Ooh,
Ooh,
yeah.
okay.
Here's your favorite Wandering Emperor
Yeah, I really
taking
been and this was
taking
a
up.
second or a combat. It was a combat Wandering Emperor, and then got punished by the Fury that came in from the board. Or yeah, because Fury 2 in the side.
Yeah, that's also something that we missed. Like Fury just killing off all the
Yeah,
planeswalkers.
but yeah, true. Four damage is a chunk of damage, but like, oh wait, no, yeah, that kills off a lot. Yeah, because everything here. Yeah, Fury. Okay, yeah, I like the Fury tech.
Yeah,
I wonder what was the cut for it though.
maybe on the draw, maybe more angers.
Yeah, I could see angers. Especially if any graveyard you see that there's a rest in peace in the board.
Yeah,
Though I do agree, I do agree with Corey and Prez is that like if that imp hit the board, this game would have very much been different. Imp
yeah.
is just one of the sneaky best cards in the deck.
Let's see, prismatic ending. Oh, yeah, prismatic ending on the Root Dweller.
Yeah, so this brings back to the conversation that Bear and I were talking about. It was just like prismatic ending is just so good. It's so freaking powerful.
Yeah, just having like an answer that doesn't have to trade up in mana for basically anything that's played in Legacy. The few
Yeah,
things
and
you can't hit with prismatic ending are, yeah, you can probably count those on one hand.
yeah, and all you have to really do to like allow your deck to facilitate it is you just like add a volcanic island in or a plateau,
Yeah,
and you can hit up to 3 drops, which are the majority of permanents.
interesting. Malfi just casting once upon a time, finding another land. So maybe that's just hard cast anti-Ravager, I guess.
How many cards in the hand for Tensai? Two, three,
Yep, 2 cards.
three now. Yeah,
Three
I would
cards
hard
now, yeah.
cast I would hard cast an Angie Ravager. Just like force the action.
Yeah, let's see where this is going for Malfi. Doesn't look too good at this point, for sure.
Yeah, it is definitely one of those things where the advantage bar has slid towards Tensai. eh, but at the same time, like Malfi can have some extremely explosive draws. We still haven't seen an LED yet.
Yeah,
And the
wonder what
LED,
it's gambling for. Maybe the Puritimp. Certainly not the Vengevine.
it's also not like Tensai is even giving putting any pressure on him. Uh, ten, rains are back. I might have to shut my windows again.
Yeah,
The joy of living in monsoon season, monsoon weather. Oh, okay, yeah, hard cast
that's,
force negation.
yeah. Taking out the LED, that's also huge. And another land. Malfi, like 4 lands in play with Madness is not the place to be.
No, this is not where you want to be. But that being said, Look at that land spread. Like that is a very beautiful land collection there.
On both sides, I think. Both have all their 3 colors in duels. Like, technically, Malfi is 4 color, actually. There's no Scrubbin, obviously, because there's just not enough black and white cards in the deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And I think, yeah, Tensei now is exactly where he wants to be. Malfi is on 1 card in hand. Doesn't really have anything going on. Reality was countered. Not that it does that much in this spot, I think, because you can just hardcast basically everything you have.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just playing draw go definitely favors Tensei a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. When we have when we look at this sort of situation, there are situations that if like Tensai was down, like if Malfi had some initial like hard or aggro, like got him down to like 10 or 8 and something like that, a random hard cast Vengevine might steal him. But in this sort of a situation, I don't think we're looking at that possibility with Tensai still sitting at 16 life.
Yeah.
And there's a surgical extraction. I think I'd probably be calling it here just to preserve some information.
I mean, what are you gonna hide? It's open decklist. There's not that many options. You've seen the
True.
few.
There's sideboarding choices, okay. Excuse me one second. I do need to shut my windows again because I'm getting pelted by the storm.
Okay, so the Putridimps are gone. That's one less enabler, so it still leaves Malfi with yeah, faithless lootings and lions and demons to enable the madness. But it's not a whole lot. There's also, yeah, now displaying the sideboard, there's a Ray of Revelation, probably against Rest in Peace. So Malfi was expecting Tensei to bring in Rest in Peace against the Vengevines.
Yeah. I and that's the thing is like I don't even hate that. What is? Oh, it's the Ray of Revelation in hand. So Ray of Revelation, and what else was the other card? Once upon a
Once
time.
upon a time. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's definitely not the best hand.
yeah. No, this is not where Malfi wants to be. So there's another reason why you might want to scoop there. In response to the surgical extraction, to avoid showing how terrible your hand is, because I've done that a few times. Like just the shame scoop of just like I don't want you to see this my choices here.
I mean, the Once Upon a Time still, yeah, like finding Angie's Revenger. If Tensei doesn't have Hull Breacher, then it's really bad. But yeah, that's also a good one. Like getting Gamble here is nice because the only cards, like you have 2 cards with basically no text. In like Ravager is something you want to discard, and Ray of Revelations just is a blank right now. So I don't know if you get something like a second Ravager, you can can you cast? No, Malfi can't cast
No,
both of them. But he's
no,
only gonna discard one of them at random, so you can maybe just get a second Ravager, discard that one. Next turn goes to attack, discards the other one to the trigger of the first
really, Snapcaster Force and Negation.
one.
Wow, Tensai. Wow. I mean,
Yeah,
what are we doing on time here?
still thinking about the target, but I think force of negation is probably if you've gone that far, you're probably just forcing it. I mean, it depends. Tensei also is only 1 card in hand, so Ravage is still pretty, pretty scary. But yeah, it's force of negation on the
Yep.
gamble, and now there's a hard cast Ravager.
I don't mind the hard cast Angie's Ravager because it does put Tensai under the gun, but I also don't like the fact that it trades with Snapcaster Mage. Wait, is Angie's Ravager a 3-2
But
or a
it's a
3-3?
3/3. Yeah, it doesn't trade
It's a
with.
3-3. I thought it was a 3-2. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, never mind. And then yeah,
yeah.
like slam it.
But you know what would have been another really good gamble target? Ox of Agonas. But at the same time, now Expressive Iteration is probably the perfect card for Tensei in this spot. Gets a basic,
Yeah.
puts 1 card in hand, one on the bottom.
Yeah,
So
this is where expressive iteration just like shows how busted of a card it is. Being able to just hit your land drop off of it, plus also find like your removal or whatever that you need to keep in the hand. It's so
yeah,
sneaky good. I played it for like the first time a couple weeks back, in my like local testing crew, and I was like, this is so disgusting.
yeah. Also, if Tensei finds me like Narset or Hull Breacher, then you also don't care about anti-Ravager that much. You just think, oh yeah, nice. You're gonna discard Ray of Revelation next turn to the Ravager and give me
Yep.
4
Yep. That's one of those things that I was nervous about when we were talking about this because the fact that like Hull Breacher is just so backbreaking in this game. If you've ever seen like if you're ever watching any vintage content and seen Hull Breacher versus Bazaar Baghdad, that is like oh my god brutal. And this is almost even worse because the first clause of Andy's Raptors discard your hand.
Yeah. When you're still playing Madness, your game plan is still to discard your hand. It's
Yeah,
not like playing
exactly.
LED to do that. Um, but at the same time, not refilling makes it a lot rougher. And yeah, that's the Hull I guess. What else do you play for 3 mana at instant speed? And a second Ravager.
Ooh. Ooh, here it is. This is what we were talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you get to discard the Ray of Revelation and stuff like that, but like you just gave your opponent, 3 more mana to work with.
yeah. I think you probably just take the 3 damage here. You don't want your Hull Breacher to trade with one Ancient Ravager with the second one coming in next turn.
Nah, then that's literally you just what's an ancestral recall? But instead of drawing cards, you create treasure tokens. Like,
Like
what
Black
would that?
Lotus.
What was that?
It's called Black Lotus.
Yeah. I got you there, but like I'm thinking like actually like that creates 3 treasure token. Chat, invent me the name for that card. Ancestral change purse. Okay,
Toxic
so like
Extortionist.
Dockside Extortionist. Oh my god. Talk about the real reason why I don't go fuck around in EDH world anymore.
I mean, interestingly enough, let's see what. Yeah. Like,
Ancestral feels bad.
it's just bad, yeah. Deny your opponent to draw 3. I mean, Tensei is still in an interesting spot, yeah. Like, he's facing down 1 Ravager, he's blocking both of them. His life total is not at an infinite high amount. So he's got a
Yeah.
he's got a shitload of mana, but apart from that, depending, oh, that's the swords. That's rough. That's the best card to draw in this spot, I guess.
Yep. This is one of those things. Does Malfi have any card? Okay, we have 1 card in hand for Malfi. We know that that wasn't what Malfi tutored for because that's already been on the field. Tensai literally just needs a finisher here. And I think that's the biggest complaint I've had about this deck so far is the fact that I haven't seen enough finisher. I've seen a lot of spin wheels, answer your stuff like that, but I haven't seen anything that can be a cold blooded killer. Like I think this deck needs one more Wandering Emperor or Jason Mind Sculptor in order to finish the game.
Mm, I'm not even sure, like, if you want something to finish quickly, I mean, back in the days when you were playing something like Entreat the Angels, that's just way faster of a clock than something like Wandering Emperor.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, the Wandering Emperor still attacks for 3 a turn, but ooh, we got Anger into the yard. That can do some things.
Oh yeah, Faceless Looting. It's good with flashback as well. This draws you into more cards, and let's see what Tensai's cardcasting force. So Malfi's spilling the cards here. Oops.
I think just more displaying, so it's easier
Oh
to
yeah,
see where everything is. I'm guessing there might be an Ox getting involved soon.
yeah. let's see. Like for Tensei now, it's really about just finding like you said, it's just about finding this card that can end the game, right? That's
Yeah.
another thing. Like in this spot, of course, Chase would be great.
Okay. I also want to bring this up because somebody, nobody, Eternalized Dragon would both be good. I want to bring that up. I love those finishers, especially Shark Typhoon. I think Shark Typhoon needs to find itself into more of these Jeskai decks because even as a one or a two of, like, you can get so many people with a cycle. In addition to, it's just a solid finisher. Just slam it for 6 mana, and then all of your force wheels produce five sharks.
As long as you
Like,
don't get it power blasted.
oh yeah, Pyroblast exists in our format. Just kidding. Don't play anything like that. Don't listen to me. I'm bad at this game.
Now we have Teferi to shut off Madness. I think Teferi is probably just gonna. Let's see what Tensei does. Probably just
I
gonna
I
draw a card. No, plusing.
I
Interesting.
would
So
I would want to draw the card personally. There's nothing that punishes you.
theoretically, yeah, if Tensei has Prismatic Ending in hand, he can now even Prismatic Ending Avengevine with the treasure tokens. Oh,
Oh
but Fury is not something you wanna. You can even Prismatic Ending that, but Teferi is still gonna die. And it's still not even dying, it's only 4 damage, yeah.
yeah, it's only 4 damage. So that is something that could definitely punish it. So I was incorrect. So ETB trigger on the stack. It looks like Tensai is going for the swords, the plowshares on it.
Yeah, seems reasonable. Just taking
And
6 from double strike per turn is too much.
and did we send the? Okay, no, we sent it at the 3 fairy.
Yeah, Teferi down to 1. So Tencent just playing ahead by plussing. Oh, and another expressive iteration. That's the third one, last one. So that's a way for Tensai to get this game out of Malfi's reach, I guess, here.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. We're seeing Exiled Island, card to hand, play Island for turn. Oh, just realized this. You can do some really busted stuff with expressive iteration post to fairy, like doing that on their turn. Ugh.
Yeah, we'll.
What are we seeing here? Hard cast Vengevine.
Yeah.
We were saying that this was a possibility.
I mean, looking at this also, at some point, it looks like Tensei is just gonna run out of removal, I guess.
Yeah, and Tensai is at 10.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
prismatic ending.
prismatic ending for 4 with the treasure token. Oh, oh, did not think about that. Yeah, treasure tokens are pretty good with prismatic ending. Not as good as Bear correctly pointed out as if Arkham's Astrolabe still exists in the format. Not as
Yeah,
good as that, but still, that
exactly.
is pretty busted.
Yeah, technically, like Shadowgrange Archfiend is like the only card that doesn't get hit by prismatic ending. Oh, and Malfi. Tensei also playing using a
Yeah, there's
treasure to cast surgical extraction for actual mana. Probably. What is he taking out?
yeah, because all the Vengevines are exiled, so there shouldn't be any Vengevines.
He's targeting looting, which also
Okay,
makes sense. Like I think there's another looting in the graveyard, but Malfi opted to play the haste creatures instead. So hitting the looting out of the graveyard. Oh, and there's a firestorm still. I think.
oh,
Oh, I
both of
think.
them.
Yeah,
Because
what
we did.
firestorm does in this game is if you accumulate some cards in hand, you can also take out planeswalkers and multiple
Did
planeswalkers.
did we see another firestorm earlier?
Not quite sure. Another interesting thing is also how many removal spells does Tensei have left in the deck?
Okay, so let's do the count. We've seen the one-off Wandering Emperor. That's gone. Uh, I have we seen 2 or 3 prismatic endings? I want to say 3.
I think 3, yeah.
We've seen at least one of the blast effects. Um, let's see. How many sorts of plowshares have we seen? Have we seen all 4? So it's 1.
I think Tensai's counting right now. I
Thank
mean,
you,
for Ravages,
Tensai. 2,
yeah,
3,
all
4.
swords. 3 swords and 2 endings. So there's probably like 1 sword, 2 endings, and 2 blue blasts left.
Yeah, it's got to be something.
Yeah.
It's got to be. It's got to be. Oh, we haven't seen this. Have we seen the Supreme Verdict yet?
No, that's also
So
in the
we
deck.
so we still have to factor in the Supreme Verdict, the 2 blue blasts, most likely,
Here's the Supreme Verdict.
and I would say plus or minus 1 ending and or swords left in the deck. So
Yeah,
roughly about 4 removal, but we've already seen, I think, all the Induced Ravagers. Is this 3 or 4?
there's 4 in the deck. I think there's still one
Yeah.
more Ravager. It's also still
Uh,
there's no Ox of Agonas so
yeah,
far.
yeah. I don't know if that's in post board.
I mean, it's probably
Definitely.
like if you bring in all the like if you keep in the Firestorms and bring in all the Furies, I guess then your plan is still to resolve Ox of Agonas. Like you bring in removal against Jeskai deck to kill Planeswalkers and also kill the Hellbreacher.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in that spot you probably want something like Ox of Agonas just to refill your hand and have more options to grind if the game goes long, especially when you're on the draw and you're
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
holds up Swords and Plowshares or removal spells on turn 1.
I fully do agree. When it comes to this initial closing speed, though, we are going to okay. There's some closing speed. I was gonna say, hey, when off the star set trigger, we can find Days Undoing and go for that way. But even then, I don't like the Days Undoing in this sense because of the fact that we're just putting those Andy's Ravagers and stuff like that back into the deck, and I don't want to have that as live talk decks.
Yeah, I mean, if your opponent doesn't draw any cards, it's not that bad. So let's see. Maybe given time considerations, do you think it's
I
right to just start plussing Jace immediately? Also,
That's
that Master.
exactly what I was thinking. Ooh, Firestorm, throw that to the bottom. Does that hit Planeswalkers? Has it been
I'm
eroded?
not sure, but I think you just leave that on top. I mean, your opponent has 2 Firestorms in hand. What are they going to do?
Let me
Yeah,
see. Firestorm.
discard 1 Firestorm to
Creatures
another.
and or players, so that means it's been eroded to any targets. So like that could, but I mean with loyalty of 5, 4, and 3, like I mean you can possibly pick off the Narset.
Probably. Yeah,
Yeah,
just X any target. So
yeah. Start pushing
yeah,
Jake and Jace all the way to the end. You need to finish this game before you get stuck with anything else.
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, both these players understand that literally Malfi is one effective draw away from it just being over. Because there's still 2 Vengevines in the board in the deck, and that's a Basking Root. Voila.
Yeah. I think you also just might just leave that on top.
I would leave it on top. It doesn't really
Yeah.
matter that much. You can balance it with like literally anything.
It does have haste though, so there is actually. Oh yeah, he puts it on the bottom. Tencent decides to put it on the bottom because they do have haste because of anger in the graveyard. So
Yep. There's
it
still the anger
understood
in there. I forgot about
punch
that.
work on Chase.
Yeah, the anger in there is going to help with just that random burst damage. Ooh, but we do have a blue blast now, so we did find one of those 4 outs is what we put it on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, in terms of creatures that can go through that, there's Puridims have been surgicaled, Vengevines have been surgicaled, so there's only Basking Root Dweller, and Shadowgrange Archfiend costs 9 mana to cast here.
Oh, and then of course Tensai is also on your draw step. I'm going to cast Days Undoing. Okay, yeah. So Tensai does take. Oh wait, no. They're not wrapping it up. They're just draw step. What's it called? Dress up Days Undoing.
Yeah, I mean, it still doesn't feel like it sets back Malfi specifically a lot. Like you don't like there's an anger that's gone from the graveyard, but you don't have any relevant cards anyway.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and beyond statistic, actually, Malfi it doesn't look like Malfi's scooping.
I would have scooped. I would have scooped. This is
Yeah,
yeah, and there's a rest in peace. Yeah, no, this is GG's. Yeah, and that's all
yeah,
Malfi needed to see. Like, yeah, Malfi needed confirmation that the rest in peace got brought into play, brought into the deck, and then yeah, you're not getting anything more from there. You're just gonna sit there and let Tensai play with himself for a little bit. So that's bringing us into our third game. Sideboard, like we were talking about, there's a difference between play and draw here. What do you think changes for Malfi knowing that they're on the play? Because this is really important. If Malfi can turn 2 or turn 3 Tensai, which this deck is very capable of, that's it.
um, yeah. What changes is you're going first, so you just try to probably keep a hand that's as explosive as possible, and if you have two enablers, um, you're good, I guess. I don't think Tensor can afford to keep a double force hand. So if you have something like LED Puridim and like two reasonable discards, you just cast Puridim, have it forced, and then cast Reality and go nuts. But
Yeah,
I think that's probably the best shot.
I could agree with that. I do agree in that. In this one, I think I might be shaving a little bit of like the superfluous stuff that you're going to try and grind with and fight with.
Yeah,
I think you just want raw speed. I think you're trying to just be LED as abusive as possible.
yeah. I mean, you've seen Rest in Peace now. That's
Mm-hmm.
good information to have.
Yeah, and it means that your Ray of Revelations pick was solid. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't a dead card at any point. But on that same subject, like, is it worth bringing in the one shot for it? Like, I think it is, but at the same time,
yeah,
it's like I'm really curious as to what he cut since we saw the Firestorm still in the main.
yeah.
Okay, are both keeping on 7? Looks like Tensai's keeping on 7.
Yeah, both keeping 7. I guess it's scarier for Tensei than it is for Malfi.
Yeah, definitely.
And looting. I think,
Yeah, both keeping.
yeah, looting is the one enabler that I always want to let resolve against that deck.
I usually let it resolve as well. Now that I think
Yeah,
about it, looting is not as scary as something like um LED. That being said, if they go looting and put Vengevine, and the next spell they hit the stacks is LED. Oh, did I just call the shot? There's an LED. You have to
Uh-oh.
force this. If Tensai doesn't force this, this might be the match. This might be the
Yeah.
match.
I mean, it's interesting. Like
Oh,
Twitch
it's good. Oh, Tensai doesn't have the force.
resolves. So there's.
Did I just call the
What did you
shot?
get? Yeah. What did
Did
you
I just call the shot? Oh.
get? He's just
Oh
missing
my
an angle to just
gosh.
really crash everything. But it's still taking 8, and there's no Terminus in Tensei's deck. No Miracle coming up here. Like, what are your Swords to Blouses gonna do against this board? There's the Force
Yeah.
Will.
Okay. Yeah. You have to force.
Tensei
You have
just
to.
scooping it up, I
You have
guess.
to force up. You have to force the Edgy's Ravager. You have to force
Yeah,
the Edgy's Ravager. That's yeah. See, this is what I was saying. If you have the force of will, you don't let the LED resolve.
yeah.
Oh.
When your opponent casts
Oh,
looting,
the
it just
caster's
red.
curse. Oh, he just drew the force. He just drew the
Yeah,
force.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So
What do you do? So your swords 1 Vengevine.
yeah, but there's still 4 or 8 power on the board. This is still
Yeah,
2 turn clock. If Malfi hits a land, okay, so no land, so you trigger discard. Another bench fight.
And just drawing 3 more cards as well. So you take 8, your opponent draws 3
Oh,
cards on turn 2, 16 damage taken.
oh my gosh. This is brutal.
Like
Also,
we've been
oh,
about that in the Doomsday matchups. That's exactly what makes you struggle when you play Doomsday and your opponent just has a hand like that.
yeah,
And
exactly.
gamble.
And we got to gamble. This you have to force this. You 100% have to force.
Yeah. Especially with the Vengevine in the graveyard.
Yeah. So you need swords. Yeah. Oh no, Tensai shows it. Malfi did
Yeah.
it. Oh my gosh, Malfi did it. Malfi took out Tensai. This is huge. Oh my gosh, that you know what? If anybody had to be taken down in that sort of way, where it is literally like the only way to take down Tensai is literally just throwing the God Hand on the board. You put
Yeah.
Exodia on the board, and you said, "I'm going fast, and I'm going to kill you." And yeah, Tensai did it. Malfi did it.
Yeah.
Malfi did it, and wow, that's huge. Yeah, and both these players are great sports. They love each other. They're good friends. They always find each other in these events. And like honestly, to see this is huge because this is a massive thing for both players. Like oh my gosh, that was great to watch. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That is
I'm
great.
so sorry, Tensai. I called that shot.
Yeah, but
All
that's what
right.
you have to live with.
All right, so we're gonna take a short break and get prepared for our finals. We will be right back here. We're gonna give Malfi a second to breathe after just having the heart rate spike through the roof. We'll be right back, everybody.
Have a good one and see you soon in a few minutes.